government. I am right now today I am in industry. So I welcome Swati.
Excellency, Additional Secretary, dignitaries, Mr. Matthew, thank you for setting such an amazing standard and pretty much wrapping up the whole. And there's a reason. Rajan, absolutely excellent speech. I think you touched upon pretty much everything that is very critical and very relevant, shall we say, for the discussion today. So I almost don't want to do the speech anymore because I quite covered a lot of that. So a tough stance. So let's see how we go with this. I'm just going to take it a little ahead from what Rajan spoke about. And I think it's really about going a little more into demystifying what everyone is talking about IoT today. And after being in MWC, I mean, if there's one thing that stood out is IoT is becoming so permeable and so, it's becoming a digital fabric of ours. Already, when it comes to India, we are very much, engaged into the internet in a big way, may it be with, the adoption of the internet, the smartphones coming into play, government's focus around smart cities and rural broadband. But what really stands out is that India is already, fast-pacing the whole revolution around the Internet of People. And then comes in this new word called as things. And we're talking about 1.2 billion people in a very large, very, very large country. So imagine, and it's almost science fiction, right? So imagine if things and your chairs start talking to each other. What Rajan spoke about to me almost was like a movie. Artificial intelligence, machines talking to each other, what would the world be like? And I don't think we have really thought and imagined, or actually we almost cannot imagine how disruptive this actually could be, and what a game changer it could be. To an extent that technology with the Internet of Things will become so much a part of our life in the future that we probably will not know of its existence, and that would be the success of the Internet of Things. A couple of critical data, 50 billion connected devices is what industry people say by 2020. And Rajan mentioned by 2030, it's going to be a different level altogether, shall we say. And 50 billion connected devices is about 50 odd trillion gigabytes of data passing through these networks. So everything, right? I mean, it's just so much. It can become a part of our life, from security to energy consumption, health, education, just the way we walk, talk, and engage with society. And that really means that with things becoming smarter and more smarter, and hopefully not as intelligent as what Rajan mentioned, we would have a far more productive society. We're already seeing parts of verticals that are maturing very well in the Internet of Things. You take, for example, the automotive industry. So we're talking about huge industrial manufacturing where there are robots that are, engaging at every level to move a line item forward. And this goes into billions of dollars. So imagine a situation, and just imagine a huge industrial area where you have one robot that just, does not work anymore, or there is some kind of a mismanagement. In such a situation, it's going to cost billions and billions of dollars to the corporation. But then, if all these robots were connected into the internet and there was a preventive mechanism to see that there could be a potential issue coming into play. So look at the kind of saving that we are talking about. So in verticals like the automotive, the industry, or for that matter, even utilities. I come from a state called as Maharashtra. I think everyone out here knows that Surat has had a very, very bad issue when it comes to water. So imagine a situation where our water tanks and there is, reservoirs are well engaged with, or rather an understanding that there is a part of the society in a city that has excessive water, and there is a rapidly growing population at the other end that doesn't. And then the smart Internet of Things, or for that matter, the reservoirs, through the sense and the communicate, can actually start diverting water intelligently to other parts of the city. And very soon, probably, if there is a smart business model or governance put in place, we would actually have states and countries where utilities can be very easily, efficiently, and very smartly optimized. So intelligent utilities, intelligent governance, and devices that actually can sense and communicate and take decisions for our everyday life. So we're talking about productive businesses that will come into play. So in effect, I mean, I would say that we would have, today our IQ levels are of a certain level, probably we would go actually to a 10,000 ourselves, because by the end of the day, the regular drudgery of life would be taken over by the machines. So health, safety, comfort, convenience, when it comes to all of us, we probably would reach to our own level of evolution, which is wisdom. And what is this whole concept of wisdom? And I know I'm sounding a little philosophical here, but I'm just trying to get away from artificial intelligence, the 5G and the all that Rajan spoke about. And the reason why I'm doing that is that as an individual, as a human being, what does it mean to us? If a machines can take over a certain kind and type of work, and if there is a level of standard and control to say, hey, okay, this is all that the machines can do. For us, it is when the machines are moving from the sense, communicate, collation of data to knowledge, and then machines themselves are getting wise, so are we. Because if we have a way to control that kind of environment, that would probably put us at a different level. But then coming down to what is happening today, I mean, it's very clear that cities across the world, and 60% of the population is going to move into metros. So across the world and in India, for sure, the whole focus around smart cities is becoming so critical. And rightly so, because the strain is going to be very huge. So we have real problems as of today. It took me 2.5 hours to come here. And the only thing I thought of while coming here is I wish there were these Internet of Things, machines, surveillance, and all that could have just cleared the road a bit for me to reach here in time. It was excruciatingly horrible. So congestion, the pollution, safety, water, all these things are our everyday necessity, something that IoT can play a very big role in. But that said, I mean, the whole aspect of IoT, I mean, you get the instruments to talk to each other interconnected and then reach a level of intelligence. We have certain very critical decisions as a community, as across the globe that we really need to think of. Some that my friends in the panel have discussed about with my dignitaries here. But the whole aspect is the complexity that is going to come into play because of the Internet of Things. I don't think any one of us have an idea of the level of complexity that's going to come in. I mean, think about it. So there is hardware, there's software, there's network, and there are human beings, and there are so many other things that are connected. And at each level, real time, they are changing complexities. So today Internet of Things is already emerging in parts of the world, but is there standards that are set down for when it becomes mass? The Internet of Things today looks beautiful, it's utopia, and the reason is because it is not yet at a mass level. So what happens if, we in a country like ours, for example, we have Internet of Things coming from the top, beautiful devices, but we don't have a network. A network that actually is so seamless, a combination of the wireline and the wireless in a way that the network at any given point is de-risked. the way we deploy the network, the way we ensure that the network is scalable, robust, and the architecture is of a different league altogether, even 25 years down the line. The things and anything else coming onto the network will be sustainable. Rajan, you spoke about high bandwidth, low latency, real time, something that if things are talking to each other, that's a basic expectation. So I want us to actually think about this fact, how much of investment, even from other industries for that matter, is going into the network. And we've got to solve this problem, make it profitable, make it engaging in a way that the industry from everywhere is going to pour money into networks. So networks is basically the key differentiator here. But there's another very critical aspect. IoT across the world is coming with different standards. So what are we talking about when it comes to interoperability? What are we talking about when it comes to future-proofing the technology and reliability? Imagine, would a business want to invest in IoT knowing that technology is going to change very often? So if there is one aspect that we need to focus on in a big way is about standards, especially with the level of complexity coming in. I mean, think about it. My money, I'm a person, my money is going to pass through the internet, probably through machines, there's going to be purchases. There is not only technology standards, but there's got to be standards in the way people, things, and everyone engage with each other. And that's a part of standards that we've got to bring it under a common ground. You mentioned about security, and this is really scary. So the utopia is Internet of Things is going to make our life very easy, but I mean, it might sound a little, Hollywood or Bollywood right now, but if I'm in an aircraft and that's connected, what's going to happen if there is a hack? What happens if there is a connected car? And I understand that most connected cars today are not secure. So security is a huge, huge investment, and we are talking about real-life disasters that can take place. So at one level, the Internet of Things can stop a tsunami, or rather prevent us from getting, into a disastrous situation with a tsunami. But, and I don't want to sound all very gloom and doom, but the fact remains is that if there's one thing that would worry me about getting more and more connected is the level of security that my family, my friends, and people around me would have in an environment like this. It sounds a little scary, no doubt. But there's another aspect to this whole thing. So all these things constantly like hitting upon the network is going to keep the network on, up and alive at any given time. So what happens to power? What happens when there is a power-thirsty country like India right now? So as Internet of Things come on board, what happens to the amount of power consumption? Is there enough effort that is going into probably creating batteries that would sustain more in a far more sustainable way? And that is one area. Energy efficiency is, if we are looking at Internet of Things, I think we've got to think out of the box and look at other areas that should, come into play real fast. And then this is another thought, right? So there's things. There are old things and new things, and there are more things. So what happens to sustainability in the environment? How much is going to go down under into our earth? So is there enough effort that's gone into looking at what is going to happen to the old things with the new things, and how much more things are we going to create? So I think the net is that when it comes to mass adoption, we are going to face a security risk. We are going to have a huge energy problem if there is not enough right now, and there will be a massive environmental concern. So in an environment like this, I would think that we've got to pick up these almost like verticals and really go deep into how we deal with these areas when we talk about Internet of Things. So there's a good side to it, and then there's this other side that can actually become a horror story if we don't brace ourselves. As Sterlite, we are trying to prepare ourselves, try to address various aspects of the network, recognizing that the network is going to be a key differentiator. The way we are designing our networks is keeping in mind sustainable, scalable, robust, and the word is sustainable also, because by the end of the day, once a network is deployed with wireline and wireless, it should be alive, and it should be sustainable for a long period of time, a minimum of 20 plus years. So I'd like to leave you with this thought that there is a lot that goes around the word Internet of Things, and it is not just the things. It is about everything else, the framework that we need to create so that we can actually move forward with this. And if we don't do that, we probably would be seeing a not so nice future. So with that, thank you so much.